Well, not all right. Welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Berlino here, and this is going to be not one of your regularly scheduled programmed videos. It's just an off-the-cuff short thing that I wanted to make because Charlie Watts. And admittedly, it kind of blindsided me, this, because we all knew that he'd gone in for some surgery or whatever. He was recovering, supposedly, and they got some other guy to come in and do some shows while Charlie was recovering. And honestly, I didn't even have a thought like, oh shit, what if he might die? Like I didn't have any sort of a gut feeling that would happen. And that's the thing about people like Charlie Watts. You don't think they're ever going to die. You know what I mean? I mean, think about people like Prince and Michael Jackson and just all these people, Bowie. They were never supposed to die, were they? What happened? I mean, that's yeah. Anyway, so Charlie Watts, I am really kind of, I don't know. I feel the way you do. We all feel the same way. We all feel the same way. The great Charlie Watts. I mean, Charlie Watts. Everybody loves Charlie. Charlie Watts. You have Mick and you have Keith up there, and everybody up there kind of, and Charlie Watts is in the background, just kind of going, whatever. Charlie Watts was the coolest Stone. That's right. Sorry, Keith. I know you're really cool and hip, for doing all those hip drugs, but Charlie Watts was cooler. That's all there is to that. In fact, I talked up on an earlier video about being into the Stones, or first getting exposed to the Stones in the early 70s, listening to Between the Buttons, but I didn't really know who Charlie Watts was then. And even into the late 70s and early 80s, he caught my eye because of the videos. I still didn't really know his name, I think, at that point, but you would see those videos of them doing It's Only Rock and Roll, and any of the 70s and early 80s stuff, all those videos, and everybody would be up front hamming it up for the camera, and Charlie Watts would be in the back literally smirking and rolling his eyes, close-ups of his face as he just goes. And that always caught my eye. That made more of an impression on me watching these videos than Mick or Keith puckering and posing in front of the camera. And yeah, so he was kind of like, he was that guy before he even had a name. It was like, who's that guy? And it's kind of like James Gatson in the Bill Withers videos. Bill Withers is Bill Withers, but when you watch those videos of him on what was it, Old Grey Whistle Test or whatever, doing Ain't No Sunshine or any stuff like that, one of the things that instantly just jumps out at you is James Gatson just looking like the coolest guy in the room and kind of really being the coolest guy in the room. Well, that's Charlie Watts. Charlie Watts sat in the back and he didn't give a fuck. And he was the coolest guy. He was I mean, really, the Stones are not the Stones without him. I mean, yeah, they're going to keep going. You know how the stuff goes. I mean, John Entwistle died, and 2 days later, The Who were on stage. Probably, I think the next day, The Who were on stage without him. The Stones, they'll probably be on stage tomorrow night, and this won't be a farewell tour. They'll do it again. But really, the good and proper Stones really are no longer without Charlie Watts. Just as much as they wouldn't be if Keith died, as though that's ever going to happen, or if Mick died. But so I don't know. That's kind of really all there is to that. We all know. I don't need to sit here and tell you how great Charlie Watts was, or list my favorite drum parts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, although there will be some Stones videos coming. I mean, obviously I was already going to do that, but I'm not going to really quickly assemble one right now to try to put out to you to cash in, because the big money-making juggernaut that As It Should Be is. But I just wanted to come on and just and be blindsided on video about Charlie Watts, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about these about when this stuff is happening lately, I feel like it kind of hits a little harder nowadays than it used to. I remember when George Harrison died and John Entwistle, I was really, obviously really devastated, but I didn't really cry that much, you know what I mean? Now, this stuff like this now, I got a text, my friend Crystal, one of my best friends, Crystal, shout out to Crystal, a lot of you people know her. I was editing a video for this channel, actually, and my phone beeps up, and it's from Crystal. I look at it, and all she wrote was Charlie Watts, and I instantly knew. You know, the next thing you do is you go on and you pull up Wikipedia or whatever, or, you know, to see if somebody's already changed the date on that, you know, to say that he's died. But before I even did that, like, it was instant. I started crying immediately. It was like it had like family member impact. I've never had an emotional reaction that instantly to that news ever before. And I think it's because, you know, the Rolling Stones and members of the Stones. I mean, you know, Brian Jones died in 1969. That was a lifetime ago. Well, at least for me, because that's when I was born. But the Stones have always been there with all their. We haven't had dying Stones in our lifetime, a lot of us, and this is kind of like, whew, this is new territory. Dying Stones, can that happen? I guess apparently it can. And well, yeah. So Charlie Watts obviously was one of the greatest. Nobody can deny. Ironically, I'm doing this at a time of day when the Stones poster isn't really showing up very well, but, you know, there he is back there. And, of course, Stones album's back there. Now, those aren't necessarily my favorites. Well, actually, one of those is my very favorite Stones album. But I'm not going to tell you which, because you'll have to wait for that video. Those just happen to be the Stones albums I have here. So they're on display. But, yeah. Anyway, so in short, one of the greatest is gone, and we're all left here to kind of be in the wake of it all, I suppose. But luckily we have all the great records and all the great videos and all the great everything that we know and love about Charlie and the Stones and all that stuff to help us through, right? And yeah, that's that. I have no magic words, and we're not looking for any. Charlie was great, and that's all there is to it. See you next time.